Many people thought Buhari was Fulani. That is what everybody used to say. But according to Professor Alkasum Abba, a political historian, that belief was never true. He said during Buhari's time, Nigerians assumed he was Fulani, but in reality, he was not. Buhari's wife was Fulani, but Buhari himself was not. And what even makes the story stronger is that Buhari could not speak one single word of Fulfulde, the language of the Fulani people. If he spoke in English, his sound was Hausa Daura, which tells you his root was more Hausa than Fulani. This revelation is shaking the table because for years, people built political narratives and opinions thinking Buhari was Fulani. And now a respected professor is saying, no, he was not. Viewers, remember to like this video and subscribe because more just like this is coming your way and you don't want to miss out. Let me break it down so that everyone can understand it clearly. Buhari was from Daura in Katsina State. Daura is a Hausa community and that is where Buhari identified himself more. The mistake many people made was linking him to Fulani, probably because his wife was Fulani and because of the way Nigerian politics often mixes Hausa and Fulani together as if they are one. But the professor is saying this is not correct, and that Buhari's identity was more Hausa than Fulani. Why is this gist very important? Because in Nigeria, identity and ethnicity play a big role in politics. Sometimes people follow a politician not because of what the person can do, but because of the ethnic group they believe the person comes from. Now, imagine how many people supported Buhari with the thought that he was Fulani. That assumption influenced debates, alliances, and even how opposition groups attacked him. But this new claim is showing us that what people thought was his root was actually not the case. This also brings us to the bigger question: how do we in Nigeria attach labels to people? Sometimes it is not about facts, it is about perception. Once people believe a leader belongs to one ethnic group, they build a whole story around that. With Buhari, many people said he was Fulani. It was repeated so much that it became like truth, but now history is saying something different. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe because I need your support to keep bringing you gist like this. And the more you subscribe, the more this channel can grow and reach more people. Now let us go back a little into Buhari's life. He was born in 1942 in Daura and he rose through the military to become Nigeria's head of state in 1983 before being removed in 1985. He came back decades later to win democratic elections in 2015 and he ruled for 8 years until 2023. Throughout those years, Buhari carried the public image of a Fulani leader. Media stories, campaigns, and even political enemies pushed that identity. But the truth, if we accept what Professor Abba is saying, is that he was not Fulani at all. This shows us how narratives can sometimes mislead a whole nation. And you see, Buhari's leadership was one of the most debated in Nigeria's recent history. Some people praised him for fighting corruption and building infrastructure. Others criticized him for insecurity, economic hardship, and how some regions felt neglected. But one thing many never questioned was his ethnicity. I think they took it as fact that he was Fulani. That is why this revelation is shaking people. Again, let me remind you, kindly like this video right now and subscribe if you have not. Your support helps me to continue this journey of telling stories in a way everybody can understand. Now, let us think about why this kind of story matters in today's Nigeria. The Hausa Fulani label has been used in politics for a very long time, almost like one ethnic bloc. But the reality is different. The Hausa are different, the Fulani are different, even though history has made them live together in many regions, marry each other, and sometimes share culture. But to say someone is Hausa Fulani without checking carefully may not be correct in all cases. Buhari is now being used as an example of that confusion. Professor Abba said very clearly that Buhari's wife was Fulani, but Buhari himself was not. And language is one of the strongest proofs. If someone is Fulani and grows up with that identity, naturally they should know at least some Fulfulde, but Buhari could not speak it at all. He spoke English with Hausa Daura style. That alone shows you where his roots were tied. Please, before I continue deeper, just take 1 second to click the like button and subscribe. It really helps this gist to reach more people. Thank you for doing that. Now, as we connect this story to today's Nigeria, Oh, you can see how identity politics is still alive. Even right now under President Tinubu, people are talking about where he comes from, his tribe, and how it affects the decisions he makes. Just a few days ago during Independence Day, Tinubu said the worst is over, trying to assure Nigerians that after all the hardship of subsidy removal and currency reforms, the economy will soon stabilize. Yet people still judge leadership not only by policy but also by identity. That shows you how deep ethnicity is in Nigeria. In Buhari's case, the perception of being Fulani made many people tie him to Fulani herders during the farmer-herder crisis. It was common to hear people say Buhari was protecting his people, the Fulani, whenever there was violence involving herders. But if this revelation is correct, then he was not Fulani, which changes how we view those claims. Maybe Buhari's inaction was not because he was Fulani. Maybe it was simply leadership decisions, good or bad. Now let me ask you, do you think people will believe this professor's claim? Or do you think many Nigerians will reject it because they have already built their mind on Buhari being Fulani? That is the debate happening now. Now, if you think about it carefully, you will see that this revelation is not just about Buhari alone. It is about how we as Nigerians quickly accept a story without checking the facts. For many years, the phrase Hausa Fulani has been used like one single tribe, but in reality, these are two distinct groups. Hausa people are largely found in the north. They speak Hausa language. They have a long history of kingdoms and trade. The Fulani, on the other hand, are historically cattle herders, moving across West Africa, and they speak Fulfulde. Over centuries, both groups lived together, married each other, and shared culture, so the line between them became blood. That is why the political term Hausa Fulani is common. But as this professor's claim shows us, it can sometimes be misleading. Now think about how that misunderstanding shaped Buhari's story. When insecurity rose in Nigeria, farmer-herder clashes, banditry, kidnappings, many Nigerians accused Buhari of silence because he is Fulani. He is protecting his people. But if he was not Fulani, then maybe that explanation was wrong all along. Maybe his silence or his decisions were about politics or about how he wanted to govern, but not about defending Fulani. This shows how a wrong identity can create wrong narratives and even anger among the people. Don't forget, while listening to this gist, please like this video right now and subscribe to the channel because I want you to always be part of this family where we explain these stories in ways everybody can follow. Let's go back to history a bit. Buhari's first time in power was 1983 after a military coup. He came with a strong anti-corruption posture, introduced the war against indiscipline and ruled with strict policies, but he was removed in 1985. For years he remained in politics, contested elections until 2015 when he finally defeated Goodluck Jonathan and became civilian president. From 2015 to 2023, he had 8 years of rule. Those 8 years were filled with both support and criticism. Some people respected him as a man of integrity. Others blamed him for economic hardship and rising insecurity. But through all these, the one constant belief was that Buhari was Fulani. And now we are told that belief was false. My people, think about this. How does one claim like this change the way Nigerians view Buhari's legacy? For example, if Buhari was not Fulani, does that mean people will rethink their anger during the herder crisis? Or will they still say, Fulani or not, he still failed to protect us? These are the kind of questions that this gist is raising. Please, if you are still watching, kindly like this video now and subscribe, because your support is what keeps this kind of long gist going. Now let us also connect this to what is happening in Nigeria today. Ethnic politics is still strong. Look at the last election. Bola Ahmed Tinubu faced questions of identity too. People asked, is he Yoruba through and through? What is his exact origin? What about his background in Lagos? These questions show you that Nigerians always link leadership to identity. And not only Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, another strong candidate, has faced questions about being Fulani, being from Adamawa, and how that ties into his political style. Peter Obi is also seen first as Igbo before being seen as a politician. So the issue of identity is still alive today, and Buhari's story just adds one more layer. When Professor Abba said Buhari did not know one word of Fulfulde, that is a powerful statement. Language is usually the deepest sign of cultural belonging. If you cannot speak the language, people will question whether you are truly part of that ethnic group. So the professor is saying Buhari lacked that connection. Instead, Buhari spoke with Hausa Daura tone, which points back to his Hausa identity. Now let's talk about perception. Even if Buhari was Hausa, does it matter that people thought he was Fulani? The truth is, perception sometimes becomes stronger than fact. If millions of Nigerians believed he was Fulani, they acted and spoke based on that belief. Opposition parties used it, activists used it, even international reports often described him as Fulani. So in politics, what people think can be as powerful as what is true. Before I go deeper, please take 1 second to like this video and subscribe. It helps so much and I really appreciate your support. Now let us talk about how Buhari himself never really corrected the record. All through his years in power, he never came out to say, I am not Fulani. He never explained his exact ethnic root. Maybe he didn't think it was necessary. Maybe he didn't want to enter that debate, or maybe he felt identity did not matter as much as performance. But as you can see, Nigerians still judged him strongly on identity. And now, after his death, the truth is coming out. This makes you wonder, how many other leaders in Nigeria are misunderstood in terms of their background? How many times have we assumed wrongly? This story is reminding us to ask questions and not just follow popular belief. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because more of these deep discussions will be coming your way.